Thank you. Thank you for having us, allowing us to come and tell you what it's really like to live with someone with pretty severe mental illness. I have a now 16-year-old son that was adopted from foster care. He was born cocaine positive. He came into my home at about age 6 months, and his whole life has been a series of aggressive outbursts, antipsychotics, and continual fighting to get services for what he needs. He currently is in a residential facility where for the first time ever he's making progress. For the first time ever he's learning to deal with the voices. Because he started displaying symptoms as early as age 3, I don't know that I've ever known my son when he wasn't in psychosis or having delusions. So the progress that we have seen him make gives us hope for the first time that there might be potential for him somewhere outside of an institution or outside of prison. What I wanted to talk with you about today was turned completely upside down because of a phone call I had this morning, just a couple of hours ago, hearing that he is to be discharged in mid-November. That discharge date puts him 6 weeks from completing this program. 6 weeks to cement the skills that are just emerging in him. I saw him at Labor Day. He's 9 hours away. We drive to see him. For the first time, I was able to say, well, what about the voices? Are they bothering you? And he said, well, Mom, they do sometimes, but I've got to learn what to do in spite of that. Are they still scary? Sometimes, like when I was trying to move to this side, they kept telling me I wasn't good enough, I wasn't going to make it, I'd never get out of here. But I learned that if I can distract myself, I might listen to my radio or pick up a book. I can tune them out. I wanted to weep. He's never allowed me to talk about the voices and never even had an inkling of a way to distract himself. So to think that he would be denied these last 6 weeks breaks my heart. This has happened to us plenty of times in the past where he begins to make some improvement, so it must be time to go home or to go to a lower level of service. No one thinks that perhaps he's doing as well as he is because of where he is. We've been discharged when our only crisis plan was to call 911. We've been discharged when no prior authorizations have been put into place for medicines that required a hearing at a state level to get approval for, and yet we're told we can go home and pick it up from the pharmacy. These are life-saving drugs for my son. The difference between the police coming to our house and to a somewhat peaceful evening. We've been discharged when no one has ever asked, what is it like for my other at-risk kids at home? I have 2 other kids adopted from foster care. My daughter won't sit in the same room as my son. His older but smaller brother is typically his go-to for a punching bag. No one's asked about the other kids that are in our home. Nobody asked about respite. What does the family need? We don't have caregivers that come in and out to help us. But in spite of all of this, I made a commitment to my son before my God, before a judge, that I would care for him. And having a psychiatrist even ask me, why have you kept him so long? Because he's my son. We work with him. We don't toss him out because he's not complying or he's difficult. Will those last 6 weeks guarantee success for him in this program? I don't know. But I sure know we don't have much of a fighting chance if we don't give him that option. So I'm here to ask, who in this room can help me? Who can stand with me to get him 6 more weeks of care? I know he's a high utilizer, an outlier in cost, but for the first time, this is personalized care for him and what he needs. If we spend more money now, perhaps he won't be readmitted. Perhaps he won't spend another 4 consecutive months in an acute care setting because there was nowhere to send him. Providers wouldn't come to our home because of his level of aggression. Providers couldn't come to our home because the closest RTD stop was a mile away from our house, and they had to walk a total of 6 hours between the bus and walking, 3 each way, to work 2 hours with him. We had no one to help, but we're supposed to take him home. So I need help. I need to know who can walk with me, walk beside us to fix the system, to make it better for him and for the kids that are behind us and around us who don't know how to fight nearly as well as some of us in this room do. I appreciate any help that you can give us.
Yeah.
It would be marvelous to see him have a hope for that future that every mother wants for their child to have.